That's Valkyrie. Does he design the games? No, he executes them.
Valkyrie, driver 41, ready to download.
Reality always hurts.
Welcome to the real world, Sega Saturn.
Three, two, one, go! Easy right. Easy left. Easy right. Over jump. Easy right. Long, medium right. Checkpoint. Easy right. Over jump. Easy left. Easy left, easy right. Very long, easy right, baby. Three, two, one, go! Very long, easy right. Long, easy right, baby. Very long, easy left. Checkpoint. Medium left. Wow. Medium left, baby. Long, medium right. Caution, hairpin right. Checkpoint. Wow. Okay, left. Medium right. Easy right, easy left. Long, medium right. right. Checkpoint. Three, two, one, go. Easy left. Easy left. Easy right. Easy left. Checkpoint. K left. Medium right, maybe. Long, easy left. Caution, hairpin right. Wow. Long, medium left, checkpoint. Wow. Wow. Easy left. Easy left, maybe. Medium left. Wow. Medium right, checkpoint. Easy left, maybe. Easy left, maybe. Wow. Long, medium right. Caution, K left. Easy left. Finish! Three, two, one, go! Medium right. Medium left. Medium left. Medium right. Wow! Wow! Medium right. Wow! Long medium left.
The windup and the pitch. 2 balls and 1 strike. The windup and the pitch. That ball has a chance. It's off the wall. The throw to second. Base hit. Now batting, Paul O'Neill. 1 out and 1 runner on base. That ball has a chance. Oh, my! A 2-run shot to left center.
Welcome to Sega Sports NHL All-Star Hockey. I'm Marv Albert, along with Steve Gallagher.
New Jersey. Goal scored by number 44, Stéphane Richer. Assisted by number 19, Bobby Carpenter.
Round 1. Fight! Real Real foul. Tornado foul. Perimeter barrage. Table. You win.
Stockton! Stockton grabs the rebound! Boom, shakalaka! Stockton, fancy move! Malone, monster jam!
Good evening, everyone. This is Vince McMahon and me, Jerry the King Lawler. Lights out! What skill! What a blow! I can't watch that! Nice. Crowd is on it. Don't hurry. Ref till it counts to 8. That was a great run. Save your energy. Don't back off. Don't wait. Poor baby. Action!
Get away from me!
my love. I have to leave quickly. Something terrible has happened.